We're going to look at a very important topic on the show this morning, talking about the oil and gas sector, where there have been a lot of issues there that we need to unpack. Of course, the issue around Dangote PMS distribution, and of course, the fear of monopoly is a major issue there as well. The Dangote entry into the oil and gas sector has sparked concern about potential monopolistic control, particularly regarding fuel distribution. While the refinery aims to reduce fuel prices and increase supply, some stakeholders fear it could stifle competition and negatively impact existing businesses. A lot of issues there to look at this morning. I'm being joined in the studio by those who should know. Dr. Billi Gillis-Harry is the National President of PETROAN. He joined us here in the studio. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, and thank you for having me here.
It's a pleasure to have you. And of course, he joined on the show as well by Professor Ife. Professor Ife is an economist. Glad to have you, Prof.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let me start with you, Dr. Harry. A lot of issues in that sector since Dangote make entry into the oil and gas sector. Latest one is the fact that he is going to distribute fuel to marketers. I mean, coming to partially, let me say so, playing in a downstream segment. How do you take that?
Well, his Dangote refinery is already in the downstream. It's, once you are producing refining product and you are also distributing from the gantry, you've already entered into the downstream. And I think it's welcome. Every player is welcome. PETROAN has been in the forefront of organizations asking for in-country refining capacity to be improved, and Dangote's debut is a very, very good one for us, and we think that we appreciate him and we encourage, such other ventures, investments, to come in, So the reality is that is there. So there's nothing to talk about that.
It's not having any impact on the value chain, as it were?
Well, of course, it's going to have quite a lot of impact, both positive ones and ones that we believe that may not be so positive. The fact that today, Nigeria, as a Nigerian, I'm very proud to be related to the Dangote refinery. I can raise my shoulder anywhere in the world and say, yes, Nigeria is on the world stage and we're playing properly. So that's a good one. But after we have finished showing that level of applause, then we should also not starve. Because there are those of us that have been in the industry since in the late 70s, and so much investment has been made. So there should be a clearly defined roadmap as to what every player should do. I think so far, the regulation factor brought in all sorts of mixed opinions and all of that. Some of the inputs and actions or inactions of some of the players maybe, impacting negatively on others. And it doesn't take one giant company to change the economy. It takes small players, little traders, station owners who have 2 pumps, 4 pumps, 9 pumps, 16 pumps, 24 pumps, 36 pumps, to be able to contribute, to the growth of the economy. So we think that some of the actions being taken, need to be reviewed even by the company, because we love Dangote as an individual. I'm personally very proud of him, and I'm also very proud of the company. But after my pride, I don't have to stay hungry. To put it straight, okay? And I do not encourage tens of thousands of retail outlet owners to get into problem because they are not able to buy product and sell profitably and be able to. Some of our members also have tankers, they have trucks, they have depots, they have retail outlets. So in the entire value chain, we have role to play. So what are we saying? We are saying that, look, please, you are a big brother, you are a giant that we cherish and appreciate. Please, don't crush us. That's all.
Indeed. Let me come to Prof. Prof, there is, you listen to what Doctor has said. A lot of, can I say, I don't know, fear among some marketers. I've spoken to some members of IPMAN as well with regards to this PMS distribution. There seems to be some fear. among them. Most of them are alluding to the fact that Dangote may probably want to monopolize the market. If you look at the recent shutdown of Warri and Port Harcourt refineries, and of course the statement that came before that and before from Dangote, and of course before the GCO did also mention that as well. How do you think we can properly manage this sector properly such that stakeholders are not taken out of business?
Okay, I think let me begin by acknowledging my good friend, Dr. Harry, because we haven't spoken for quite some time. And he's in a very difficult position because he is heading an organized private sector. He has to amplify the tone of what they trust. So I also appreciate his sentiments to the fact that we are all Nigerians. We want good things for our country. True. I wouldn't stand here to talk about monopoly. And it's not desirable in a free market economy. We have to live and let live. So that's the fundamental principle. But there is a litany of woes that led us to where we are today. You know as well as I do. In fact, in 1985, when I finished my PhD and MBA, I started to go and do an LLM to look at the oil sector, legal regulation of multinational oil companies in Nigeria in 1985. And I did my thesis there. I went on for PhD. And it became obvious that NNPC was an octopus that was fulfilling both operational role and regulatory role. And everybody in the industry, in all the community, everybody got stitched up because of the unholy marriage between the IOCs and NNPC. And people suffered. You have people that couldn't breathe good air, can't eat, can't drink water, can't farm their land, acidic, all kinds of woes. And then you have pollutions. Billions of dollars were released to repair. Where are those? So we have all that litany behind us. Then we came fast track. PIA came for 20 years. Me and you were fighting PIA. We went to conferences organized by National Assembly. We had meetings there. They fought that PIA until Buhari came and said enough and signed it. This man had enough fight. He decided to leave the implementation to the next man. And honestly, and I don't blame him. Now, Tinubu now came and decided to take it further, to implement the terms of that PIA. Now, I'll tell you something, because me and you are on the same page, because we are both privy to what has been going on. The NNPC, unfortunately, after the PIA, we had issue with the oil marketers and distributors, because you remember, when Nigerians' needs were on the ground, we couldn't tell how much fuel we are contributing in the country. They say 70 million liters. And then we saw evidence. EFCC had to go in to see what was going on. Many of them confessed. Somebody will bring 30 million liters, release 10 million, they write 30, it goes to Togo, comes back, release another 10 million. By the time it goes away, they register 90 million, instead of 30. And we have all the problems we have. So government decided, okay, NNPC, you have the monopoly of importing and exporting crude and importing PM. Was that not true? Yeah. But then that shouldn't have been, because PIA now has come into force. But what has happened was that the devil shifted from what was going on with the to now making NNPC a much more dangerous animal for this country. Because what NNPC did was it shut off the central bank. Central bank was receiving 3 billion every month from proceeds of crude. They stopped it. They were doing direct crude swap. And in the crude swap, only PMS comes back, and then you tell me the business, you're a businessman, what kind of business where you send crude and then you get only one refined product out of many, and then you still turn back to government and say you are owing me. Go and find $500 billion naira. That was what Nigeria was going to. We were on our knees until Tinubu entered and said enough of it. Even as Tinubu stopped it, what has happened? Two things happened. Only 50% of that subsidy has come to him. Because NNPC still trapped 50%, which is what World Bank said. They still trapped it in the inequality, in the inefficiencies of the operation that they have. And I will come to their inefficiency. So that now means that Tinubu never had enough money. He gave much of it to the state governments, and then I'm landing, because I'm talking with him. So now, because they are now inheriting the legacy, the unholy legacy of what NNPC has done. So now, we've now come to a stage where, according to, even when they started implementing, Now, new medium-term and midstream company, their job was to establish what is the correct consumption of fuel in this country. They have not done that job. We knew something when we closed the borders, they dropped immediately by 35%, 35%, showing you that there's something going on there. Equalization fund was closed, and then people are being owed, point of your members, over 100 billion. And then now, Dangote has now come in, and then they're required to tell the upstream commission what the correct consumption in the country is, so that they can issue directive to those who are drilling the crude to satisfy local capacity before exporting. See how that is playing out. Dangote has a capacity of 650,000 barrels a day, going to 700,000 and gets only 70,000 barrels. Don't forget, that company is in a free trade zone. It has no obligation to supply anything to Nigeria.
Very true.
Do you understand?
Yes.
They can choose not to. But I will tell you why it is important for me and you and our members to understand that there is some mileage in working together. Not working as a monopoly, no, working together so that 230 million Nigerians benefit. 42 million MSMEs that are groaning under the problem of poor fuel, poor this, high cost. They're groaning. We're not looking at these two people. Do you understand? So now, is it a monopoly? It is not a monopoly, because if we are talking about monopoly, it is NNPC that's a monopoly. That has, I don't know what they are doing in downstream, what are they doing in midstream, what are they should focus on upstream. Because they are not, what business do they have with, when they are not producing petrol? They could only continue because they want to be importing substandard product additional to this. Sell those things to the members, sell those NNPC retail to the members of this organization. Sell all of them. And then what are they doing in midstream? When you are all the money you have bought, you put $3.5 billion there, you put 10 billion in 10 years, sell that to whoever who can run it.
All right.
So that this country can move on. And then encourage the modular refineries so that they can prove. We want more modular refineries.
All right, Prof, we're going to talk more. I know Doc is pressed for time. Let me quickly ask him some questions before he leaves. For the oil and gas industry to work effectively, we need stakeholders' collaboration. In your engagement with Dangote and some other key players, do you think there is, he's sitting towards that direction?
Well, I will answer your question, but let me address a couple of things that Prof has just mentioned there. First of all, NNPC certainly has quite a lot to explain to the Nigerian public. As an organization, we have a very strong patriotic zeal, much more than profit, value. So we do what we do with a human sense and with a human face. We are careful also to try to follow through with it, because organizations like us that will ensure that the government is also doing well, the private sector is doing well, the public is doing well, because we are in the middle. As the strategic last mile in the industry, we are the ones that interface with Professor Ken. He buys fuel from us in our station. It doesn't go to somewhere. It's in our retail outlets.
Absolutely.
Even the president's team will buy their fuel need to be able to drive the process of the economy, or even in governance. So we play a very critical role, and we take our role very seriously. And so we do not just condemn or to accept things that are not. I certainly would want to tell Nigerians that NNPC really, has their good parts, but of course they have a lot to be able to correct to. And for any government that comes in to depend just on NNPC as a basis on which finances will be raised and run, it in itself is an aberration. So because first, it's a public company that the public don't have a say. The government has a say, but the owners, that's the ordinary Nigerians, have not got a say in what NNPC is doing. I know where Prof is going to, I'm not a soothsayer, but I think what he's saying is, oh, look, Dangote's solution came because there was a mess, a rot that was in the system. And so there was a solution that's brought. Of course, we support NNPC. NNPC today is the second largest corporation in Africa. And we want to see them efficient. We want to see them very efficient. We want to see them very efficient to the benefit of Nigerians. So you can see the the trajectory that Petron follows. And so we will prefer for a very open debate, very open conversation in some of all these matters. And some of the matters that Professor Ken has developed will be forming some of the kettle of what our next summit will be. Because we really need to interrogate some of these issues and make Nigerians rest. And for crying out loud, what is any individual gathering all this wealth and all this money for? You know, people just die and go, and they don't even know where these monies are. So they get lost in Switzerland, get lost in New York, get lost in some village somewhere in Asia, and it doesn't benefit even their families. So why don't we all put our best interest to make the country work? So we leave a legacy for values that we and look at the capacity that Nigeria has. Human capacity, material capacity, all the minerals in this world that I've used are in this country.
44 at least.
Are in this country. And then we are busy just, you know, rigmaroling and giving ourselves. Anyway, to get back to the matter, stakeholders are very willing to work with Dangote Refinery, just as well we're willing to work within ourselves. Because we cannot have one source of product. And Professor Ife has just said something very clear, which Nigerians, I believe, are missing. Dangote Refinery is in an export processing zone. And the obligation to domestic, you know, consumption has its own limitation. But we don't seem to understand that that obligation is there. And it's very important for us to understand that. Now, whatever that's coming back to Nigeria, of course, Nigerians also contributed to supporting him in different ways.
Absolutely.
Different ways. In is it in the sourcing of funds? There are so many things that Nigerians have done also to support him. And that's why somebody like me, I'm extremely proud of him as an individual and for the corporation that's called Dangote Group. But the point is, Petron today, we are buying from Dangote. We are buying from NNPC. We are buying from anybody that's importing product, provided NNDPRA gives us the satisfaction and the guarantee that the product is the quality is perfect. So one of the things I would disagree with Ken is that substandard products are imported. You know, within us businessmen, we can badmouth each other. We can say what we want to say, but I run my retail outlets, and my members run. Some of my retail outlet owners are running as much as 50 retail outlets. And other than some of the issues that, of course, when Abacha's regime brought in bad fuel, that was a long time. And then we got into another difficult issue when additives into fuel was mishandled. And that created a lot of problem that we had so much water in our tanks. And people were going to court every day to bail our members because somebody has bought petrol, his car is spoiled, so many different things. So we are the ones who are the end of this problem, and so that's why we speak out. That's why we don't keep quiet. We make sure that everybody understands that we want to serve and we want to encourage Dangote to be successful. Dangote should also encourage us to be successful.
Absolutely.
Now that's the kind of partnership that
symbiotic.
Works. It's symbiotic and it's very beneficial to the ordinary Nigerian. So just to let you know, Petron, because I can speak for myself and speak for my members. Before I'm coming to this meeting, I have informed my members, my executive council, that we are going to be discussing about this. What are your opinions? I left them to come here from our national secretariat. So whatever that I'm saying, I am responsible to it on behalf of everybody that is looking for a way out and a solution so that we can do business. We have tankers. So are they going to get out of business? So those are the concerns. We have retail outlets, you know, so when the product is delivered on the 15th of August, will it be continuous to August 2026? So there are permutations and projections that we are doing, and which we believe that when Dangote is willing to say, okay, these people, they have the role to play. We may not be the giants, but we are little ants that form a massive line. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the soldier ants. Can you say it's only one ant? You see the number, that's how we are. We are ubiquitous and we are many. So we can help to make sure that the industry is stable and the industry is very functional. And all of us should be able to do what we need to do, regardless of what kind of licensing we have. Because it's so easy because of the regulation to say, oh, well, I'm licensed for logistics, I'm licensed for retail outlet, I'm licensed for depot, I'm licensed for refining, I'm licensed for import. Yes, it's any businessman wants to maximize his opportunities. But in a business like this, that you have so much investment and so many people in it, there needs to be that balance where there is always a symbiotic, a relationship that brings values. So we are ready to work with NNPC, we're ready to work with Dangote, we're ready to work with other importers, we're ready to, because if Dangote, now he has moved his production capacity to 700,000 per day. So who knows? One day it will be 1 million barrels. And if that is going, is it not us as Nigerians that be the ultimate beneficiaries? So there is no reason why we are not going to give him the support. But while we want to do that, please, one line of thinking in a business doesn't make the answer. You have to think like this, you also have to think like that. And then you come to where there is a beneficial value for everybody.
Absolutely, very, very important there. Of course, while we also encourage Dangote to move its capacity to as much as 1 million, like you say, we also encourage other refineries to come on board as well, so that there will be competition in the market. But still staying with you, before I come to you, Prof, I read a commentary from your organization with regards to, accusing Dangote of price manipulation or price fixing. I think I also spoke with an IPMAN person who told me that some of the members complained that when they made payment to Dangote at a particular price before the product are supplied, you'll see a statement from Dangote reducing the price of fuel. Distribution. How much of impact do you think that this will have on the oil and gas industry?
Well, first of all, Petron will not use the words, manipulation. We will not do that, because that's not our character. The issue is that prices are arbitrarily determined by the
there's price instability.
No, just hold on. Let me get it clear.
Okay.
Prices are being, because first of all, it's a business, and they have every right to put their business mechanics the way they want to do it. So if they have increased price, it's a decision. If they have reduced price, there's also a decision. But all of these actions all have consequences. And first of all, the consequence to me, to us, to my organization, to my members, is that if we paid, say, $9.20 for PMS or diesel, and we are yet to even load, or we have loaded and we are in transit, and the price suddenly drops to even 9.05 or even 9.10. 10 naira in this business is a lot of money. And for your information, we are not making the kind of the profit that even the taxman eyes, because we are seeing some of our stations so glizzy. They are just, work in progress. So you cannot even just assume that is so much. Our profit margins are very slim. And we are just doing that, coupled with the fact that every money that you take, there's a cost to it from your bank or your financial institution or your investor. So there's a lot that plays with that kind of decision. And that's why we complained. We, Petron, complained to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We complained to the Honorable Minister of Petroleum. We complained to the NMDPRA, that's our regulator. We complained to the Federal Consumer Protection Council. And the reason why we complain is, look, we are going to be extinct if this method of doing business is not checked. Even in America or elsewhere, where the prices change from one retail outlet to the other, the margins are close. They are close, and you can even predict it. So, for instance, like I live in Pearland. In Pearland, you have Shell, you have Mobil, you have the private company, you have the independent marketers, just like we have here, and you have Exxon. You have different companies that are there. Now, you can determine that I will drive from here to this distance to buy gasoline because they are selling at $1.39 a gallon. The same route you took, somebody there is selling for $1.50 or $1.41. So the margins are predictable. And then when you go to the pump, the retail outlet, you have a choice to buy what is premium and what two other grades. That some of them have ethanol mixed from corn, some have ethanol mixed from cassava. So, and all of them are efficient. But you have to determine for the kind of car you use, what is the kind of product you want to buy. So we think that Nigeria should be evolving towards that kind of, pricing question. That's what the regulation should talk about. So we are not looking for the regulation that somebody will come in and then you say, well, I've reduced price by 40 naira, by 100 naira. I've increased price by the same margin. And there are clearly no economic reasons, either for supply or services or technology or whatever, that is plausible and easily understandable by the industry. So for us in Petron, we are very clear about what we want to do. We want to serve Nigerians. We want the economy to grow. We want the president to be successful. And we see what he's doing. It's painful for everybody. But personally, I believe that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led government will bring a road to where this light will shine for Nigeria.
Indeed, very, 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 very important there. Prof, in a deregulated market forces are allowed to determine the prices. Let's take from where the doc stopped. Given what he said, do you think we're actually doing the right thing where somebody can easily wake up and say, I'm reducing prices by 2 or by 5 naira or 10 naira?
Let me meet you at your point of question. See, the biggest distortion that we have on price stability and free market is what was going on with subsidy. So when President removed that from public sector, effectively he transferred it from public sector to private sector. I'll tell you how he did it. In December last year, Dangote refinery, they experimented, because you got to get a pilot before you go national. They piloted maintaining price all over the country and filling the gap, taking out the transportation cost and all. It was a small pilot. The results were tremendous because, one, you didn't have the petrol queues, you didn't have the spike in those prices in Christmas, you didn't have the massive rise in price of food because of that. That was the first time in 10 years we saw inflation turn down, food inflation in December. December is the cyclical peak in inflation. Okay, so that was successful, but it cost him over 10 billion naira to do that pilot. Now he has now come to a larger scale where he's going to be exposed to 1.7 trillion naira effectively in subsidy, private sector subsidy that has been transferred from public. Now, how does that mean? Let's look at the key stakeholders. If you divide that money by 230 million Nigerians, they will be getting 7,400 naira each. If you look at 40 million households, they'll be getting 42 million naira each. If you look at 42 million MSMEs in Nigeria, which is 48% of 90 million in Africa, they will be getting 40,000 naira each. So to those core stakeholders, there's a benefit, however small it is. Now let's come back from there. If you look at companies, go to the website of MAN. They are running a study that shows that 77% of the companies complain that energy is their biggest problem. And when you look at if you take it further down, you will see that the major ones like aviation, hospital, these ones, they can't run their business because they are not sure when the thing will come or the price they are going to be charged and all of that. So here is a big brother for saying, let's address the supply chain. Not because he wants to buy up some petrol stations and take control of supply, but to enable his product coming at a price that is sustainable. And he didn't block the other haulage. He said, no, I didn't hear. Maybe you have heard that he said that your trucks any other person's truck cannot come to his gantry to take fuel. What happens is that if you go with your gun to the gantry and take your fuel, check your cost and see, compare it with what he has offered you.
So,
are you with me? It's a free market.
Yeah, so what does that entail?
No, I'm coming. I just want to land on that. So what it is that it is an offer. I
want Doc to react to that.
No, Doc will react because there are, in the rural area, Doc will also agree that in some rural areas, petrol stations can't go. They stopped. My own, I can give you mine as an example because they can get the fuel and even get it at a sustainable price. Here, there's an opportunity for even those that have shut down to come back to life. Those that are fledgling to come back to life. So this thing, I didn't see it as designed to displace existing stations. I didn't see it as that design. And thirdly, in many advanced countries, those trucks can actually do last mile delivery because it's only in Nigeria that 42 million companies are carrying jerrycan to fuel station. They bring fuel station to the hotels, they deliver. So there is a role for those, apart from the role of actually going to the gantry. So there is a role. It would be unfair for hundreds of thousands of trucks to shut down. Why would that happen? They have business to run.
Well,
for your own, what I will prescribe, because we need to work on this. It hurts me to even think that some businesses will have to shut for any reason. There are those, you see, backward integration program was intended to enable us to mobilize resources to reverse the import substitution. So why doesn't these 5 big importers set up modular refineries? It costs only $75 million for 20,000 barrels a day, or $100 million if they have catalytic converter and they can do. Why can't they? All of those 5 major importers can set up modular refineries. Why don't we have NNPC help? Those $3 billion that they spent in repairing this can set 30 modular refineries.
Let me take you.
So let's get more on stream.
That is where Petron has championed the cause to set up the Petroleum Bank.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you see,
to do modular refineries.
Yeah, so not just only to do modular refineries, so even intervene in all of the, just like we've done with the Bank of Industry, just like we've done the Bank of Agriculture, we should also have a petroleum industry.
And like bank. Energy bank.
Yes. Well, the energy bank, we actually proposed the energy bank, but there's now an African energy bank that may be conflicting with the original concept of what Petron was projecting to be the petroleum bank for Nigeria. So let's call it what it is, Petroleum Industry Bank. And the value that will bring is in ensuring that the industry, because Nigeria is big, look at our littoral space, where Nigeria is good enough to become the export hub of not just only Africa, or even to global, even to our brothers in the South American area.
Correct.
Are you getting the point? So we have the capacity and we can do that. But unfortunately, access to funds is a challenge to us. Now think about it, 7,000 retail outlets plus. Is there, any refinery should be cutting us. Any refinery should be cutting us. Because it's easy for us to come together and say, this is what we want to do. But when we do that, what is the cost element? Because there must be preliminary cost element that may be possible there. Now we are thinking out of the box because it is difficulties that make some sense to come up. So let me tell Prof something. One, when you take fuel from point A to point B and you say it's free, and the man who used to charge 3 million naira is not going to now have that business, what have you done? You have effectively cut off. So you don't need to announce that, your truck should not come to the gantry to take. No, that's not the idea. Let me tell you what the best idea is, that if Dangote has brought 4,000 trucks, we can work out a process where that 4 trucks will serve Nigerians with everybody put in place, and the cost of logistics can reduce. But not an outright implementation of a process that's going to completely cut out businesses. And today you are looking at it from that perspective. But don't forget that there is also a certain company that is also selling cement. And they have cement sales force everywhere. And they still have trucks also that deliver the cement. I don't know how much cement is today, because I know when I built my house, cement was about 100 something. It's 10,000 plus. I just bought cement, I think January, February. It was 10,600 in Port Harcourt. So I don't know what it is. So I don't know if that experiment at any time reduces the cost of cement. So when we want to support any project, our advice is, because at our age today, we are nearer God than human beings. So we must leave valuable legacies of intellectual value, fiscal value too, that will be able to help to grow our children into the future. So when we want to bring policies, I always advise that let us drill it properly. There's no need to rush. The best ideas will still have flaws if you do not dot the I's and cross the T's properly. So this is where I would like to call a day on this, but at the end, I'll tell you that Dangote has done Nigeria proud. And we'll continue to say that. I want Dangote to be very successful, but it should be successful along with us.
Doc, do you think...
And along with the Nigerians.
Do you see Dangote attitude now as being anti-competitive?
Of course, it's completely anti-competitive. Completely anti-competitive. Because listen, there's no sentiment about it. If an importer brought product, the quality of the product is not substandard. It has undergone the process of quality checks, quantity checks. And then he has landed the product for, say, 755 naira. So he has already started calculating his haulage, is this, landing at the station, and no problem. And then suddenly, for that reason, for no reason, price is dropped, bam, to 820 naira. What have you done? All the investment of that man
is gone.
It will be gone, but there is no, and so long as there's no profit, he can't pay for the money. So it's easy to understand that the idea is to kill the capital. And that's the worst form of killing anti-competition. And this is something that is very rampant in India. Most Indian multi-billionaires run this kind of gamut. And so we are bothered that this should not be, a ground to experiment on that. We have we have a refinery today that can compete in the globe.
All right.
So let's focus on that.
All right. We're almost wrapping the conversation. Before we go, Prof, I want you to speak on regulators. Do you think regulators can actually look Dangote in the face and, speak to him the right way on how to carry the stakeholders along?
I don't think the NMDPRA is doing their job because they have 3 cut-out jobs to do, which they are not doing. First of all, they haven't told Nigerians how much we are consuming because it is at the bottom of all that. Secondly, it hasn't even built a laboratory of international standard, neither has NMPC of international standards for using American international standards for where you measure at least octane number, pour point, flash point, sulfur content, density, specific gravity. There are 11 of them. They haven't got that standard Dangote has. And then they feel shy. PIA says when products do get imported into the country, that this should be measured. Those stakeholders, you'll be there to see. You rely on certificate of somebody who is sending some product to you, product that they cannot sell in their own country. And then you're now asking all of us to submit to what was brought in. So we have to do that. And secondly, before you even import, the law requires the midstream authority to do so having regard. That we must have a deficit. They haven't proven the deficit, and then 200 million liters are on their way in. And then NMPC gulps all that money, and then it hasn't produced PMS, it's only producing naphtha. Sell those refineries to members that they can do this thing, so that they can focus on.
We do agree.
There are so many things that they could do.
We do agree that
they can go to floating LNG. They can do a strategic crude reserve, so that the mineral refineries can access crude. And if you have shortfall on export, you will meet it from the crude. Saudi and America, they have crude reserves. Then focus on upstream. Get all the big boys back on upstream. NMPC has much work to do. Look at Petrobras. Look at Adamco. These are the people in their peer. And not throwing their weight everywhere and messing the country up. The big problem is not Dangote. The big problem is the legacy of NNPC.
Nobody is saying that. If Dangote was a problem, I won't be here singing his praise.
Absolutely.
Dangote is a solution.
I don't want to hear that anybody is going to go out of business. It's not necessary.
Well,
but Philip, look at this. This is 820 naira gantry price. Who gets what? The people who did exploitation and reporting tech, then who did drilling the crude, then those who are transporting it or whatever by whatever means to the refinery. Refinery takes bit. That's how it's all shared. And you know in the industry, everybody gets a few pennies. Then leave the gantry and then somebody's paying 1,200, 1,100. Is it fair? Is it fair that some middlemen and retail are selling it, but the retail shop itself gets only about 50 naira?
Absolutely.
Is it not true?
50 naira. We don't even
do you understand? But so where is the other margin coming from? Not those who have invested billions in the stack.
All right, Prof, as we go wrap up now, give you 30 seconds to speak about regulators. Do you think they are doing well enough?
Well, the regulators, in my opinion, they are very, very focused in how to get the industry started. Don't forget that NMDPR is just only a few years old. So they have inherited some albatross and some things. But the current leadership of NMDPRA, they are focused on how to make sure that the industry works, to my knowledge. Because when PETROAN, as the critical last mile, cries out, they listen to us. When the big ones like Dangote cry out, they listen to us. Their role then will be always to call everybody together and clearly define where we're going. And I think that they are doing. Then the Minister of Petroleum is also doing a good job, Senator Enikin Lokobre and his colleague in the gas. But what Ken has said is the most critical thing. NNPC is a massive machine that we don't know where it's rolling to.
All right.
So it must roll now in the way that Nigerians must see transparently and should be able to do those things that should be done, not just by assumption. Because what I'm also saying is there's so much assumption. Fact finding is so low down in the ladder that we need that. And again, let me congratulate NMDPR. They've done very well, even in this pricing summit they've done for the whole of West Africa. It's the first of its kind, and I want to encourage them to do more by ensuring that the entire industry is properly regulated. If the issue about one second, if the issue about what is it called? Laboratory is needed to be done. A laboratory of quality should be established for everyone to see. And I believe they'll do it.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Billi Gillis-Harry, National President of PETROAN. We thank you for your time on the show. Professor Ken Ife, an economist, also thank you for your contributions on the show. We appreciate it. With that, is a wrap on the show today. We'll be back again tomorrow. I am Yusuf Akubu.